Okay, in this video we're going to be talking about how to represent fractions as decimal numbers, and we're going to be looking at two simple examples here. So we're going to be looking at the first one. So we need to actually express this as an improper fraction first before we actually carry on the long division to find out what the decimal number that corresponds to it is. So as we have done before, we're going to multiply 8 by 3, which is 24, and then we're going to add the 3 on top and divide again by 8, so that's going to be 27 on 8. So now what we can do with this is we can perform some long division. So let's set up our problem. We have the 8 on the outside and then 27 inside. Now we know that this is not going to be a whole number, so we already anticipate that we're going to have some zeros there. So we're going to keep expanding the zeros as we go along. So let's grab the first two digits. How many times can you fit 8 into 27? Well, we already discussed we can fit it 3 times. So 8 times 3, that's 24. Then we subtract here, that's going to leave us with 3. And now we're going to bring down the 0. Now, in doing this process, what we actually need to do is we need to also place a dot here because it needs to correspond to that one. So basically what we're saying by that is that we have entered a territory in which we are actually going to have to represent this number as a decimal. So now the question is, how many times can you fit 8 into 30? Well, we can only do 3 again, unfortunately, so that's going to have to be a 3 here. And now if we do 8 times 3, that's 24 once again. That's going to become a 6. Now we're going to have to bring down another 0. So now we do 8 times. Okay, so how many times can we fit 8 into 60? So 8 times 6 is 48. Then 8 times 7 would be 56. So I guess that's as close as we can get. So let's try 7 here. So that would be, we go down here, that would be 56 here. That would be 4. And now we bring down another decimal place. How many times can we fit 8 into 40? That's going to be 5. So that's going to be an exact number. And now we have 8 times 5, that's 40. And we know that that's actually going to cancel out here. So we're left with 0. So we have actually represented this number as an exact decimal. So it has a finite number of decimal places. So we can write 3 on 8 is going to be equal to 3.375. So that's how you convert essentially a fraction into a decimal. Okay, so in this case we got lucky because it turned out that we actually had a finite number of decimal places in it, but that's usually not the case, at least not with complicated fractions. So let me just get rid of this here, and let's do question B. So question B is going to be a little bit trickier. So we have 5 on 13. So and the reason for that is that 5 is less than 13, so the numerator is more. This is called a proper fraction. So we will see what happens here. So 13 goes on the outside. We're going to place the 5 here. We're going to have to add some zeros here because we know immediately that 13 does not fit into 5, so the only number we can choose is 0. So we're going to have 0 here. That's still going to stay as 5. We're going to bring down the next 0, and because we're in the middle of the decimal point here, we're just going to have to add it here. And that makes sense because we know that this number is definitely going to be less than 1, so it would be 0 point something. So how many times can you fit 13 into 50? Well, 13 times 3, that's 39, and that's 11 units to reach 50. So I guess we have to do a 3 here. So let's do 3. 13 times 3, that's 39. That's 11. Then we bring down the 0. Now, how many times can we fit it into 100? and 10. Well, if we multiplied 13 times 8, that would be 104, which would be pretty close. So I guess we could just do 8 here. So that becomes 104. Then this becomes 6. We bring down another 0. Then we do the same. How many times can we fit it into here? 4. So 13 times 4, that would be 52. So we're gonna do a 4 here. Now we're gonna have 52 here, which is gonna give us a remainder of 8. We're gonna bring down another 0. So you can see where this is going. This is actually going to be quite long. So how many times can we fit 13 into 80? So let's have a look. We can fit it 6 times, so we're gonna place a 6 here. So 6 times 13 is going to be 78. We're gonna bring down another 0. 13, okay, so now it goes to 20. So how many times? Well, that's only one time that we can actually fit it there. We're gonna have to elongate this, so that's gonna be 13. We go back down, 13 here. Now 7. Now we're gonna have a 0. And when do we stop? Well, you're gonna see when we're gonna stop, because clearly this is not gonna get us very far. So 13 times, say, 5, so that would be 65. So let's do 5 here. So 65. It's gonna be 5 again. And we could bring down another 0, but now we notice something very peculiar here. Let me just highlight this for you. We have a 5 as a remainder here, and when we started off, we actually had 5 as a remainder. So if we go in the whole process of taking this 50 and then doing the 50 again, we're gonna come back to the same sequence of numbers. We're gonna end up with exactly the same sequence again, and that whole thing is gonna repeat all the way to infinity. So what we can conclude from this is that this whole series of digits here is going to be a recurring decimal. So what we can write in the end is something like this: 0.384615. And because it is a recurring decimal, we just draw a straight line on top of all those digits, which is essentially saying that we're gonna have the same thing happening over and over again. So 384615, 384615, and so on and so on. So hopefully this video has given you an idea of how to convert fractions to decimals, and we're going to do some more examples in the next video.